In the occupied territory of the West Bank, there is a fearful uncertainty. Many here have family in Gaza, but that is not all. They know that all-out conflict there means the threat of increased violence here. It is already happening. These are tense, nervous days. We're here to see Hanan Ashrawi, the veteran politician and activist, and I began by asking whether she was shocked by the Hamas atrocities.
I was surprised, and the shock came later, but for many reasons. But what happened on October 7th was unprecedented in the sense that the Palestinians and Palestinian fighters came out, broke free of their prison, and were able to face the Israeli army, stand up to the Israeli army, and in many ways expose the myth of the army that cannot be defeated.
There was mass murder on a huge scale. 1,400 Israelis are killed. It was an act of terror. It was an act of brutal terror. They basically came over to murder as many civilians as they could.
You assign that as their motivation, that they just want to kill as many civilians. This, I know, is something that Israel has been doing to Gaza for decades. 5 assaults on Gaza. They killed 5,000 Palestinians before this 3,000 and some Palestinians killed. That's systematic state terror because they kill long distance, because they don't have to look their victims in the eye. It's an active policy that is being implemented by the Israeli occupation, by the Israeli army, on Palestinian civilians.
But surely this was a deliberate act of mass murder.
This was a deliberate act of resisting an occupation army that has been surrounding Gaza, besieging Gaza, regularly bombing and shelling Gaza, killing civilians.
So it's justifiable, in your view?
I don't justify the killing of civilians ever, but I justify your misrepresentation because the mainstream media picked up the distortions and the narrative and the versions of Israel, even the lies that were disproven later.
But children were killed and families were killed in the most brutal way.
So this has been happening to Palestinians for decades. Where is your moral outrage? Why is it that you always ask the Palestinians to prove their moral fiber? Why is it that you extract whatever happened and you deal with it only by accusing the Palestinians? I think I would like, this sort of predisposition to think of the Palestinians as being guilty all along is part of a pattern.
Are you concerned?
That's not the issue. I'm concerned
Hanan,
that
are you concerned what this will do to the Palestinian cause that you have fought for decades? Are you concerned what it will do to the Palestinian cause?
Of course I'm concerned. I'm concerned that this will be used again to label and malign the Palestinians. If you look at the occupation and what it's done, and if you look at the siege of Gaza, for 17 years, the people of Gaza has been in prison. They have had no hope. Regularly they're being shelled and killed. Food, water, land, whatever, that has been taken away. They've been treated like subhuman species. They've been denied their humanity and their rights.
Is it possible to wipe out Hamas? Israelis are talking about wiping out Hamas.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do that?
Shows you how much they know. They tried to do this before, and they killed civilians, and they bombed and shelled people's homes, and they destroyed and obliterated whole families the way they're doing now. Did it wipe out Hamas? They don't understand Hamas is a military and political organization. It has both wings. It has organizations, institutions. It has social welfare programs. It's not just a group of fighters who emerged out of nowhere. It's part of the political fabric. They ran for elections, for heaven's sake.
So you have been working for peace for many decades.
Yes.
Are we further away from peace now than we've ever been?
I think so, yes. I think that's a trajectory that has begun from the beginning, even when we signed the Declaration of Principles and so on and the Oslo process, Israel maintained its policy of land confiscation, of building settlements, of targeting Palestinians. With this
let me tell you,
government,
Ehud Barak said to me that in 2000 they had the deal, they were very close to the deal, and Arafat rejected it and then returned very quickly to terror, were his words.
you want to go back to 2000?
I'm just saying what he said.
There are reports about, read neutral reports about 2000. The Israelis did not in any way offer a deal. I asked them, I challenged them, give me a piece of paper that says what your deal was. They said, well, we want to have, you know, you can have above ground Jerusalem, we'll have underground. We said Jerusalem is not an onion. They wanted to maintain control and annex large areas of, and it's all verbal, nothing in writing. The negotiations were ongoing. Suddenly, Ehud Barak asked, no, never.
Do you fear that there will be an explosion of violence as a result of what is happening in Gaza, on the West Bank, and in other areas?
There are already confrontations, and the violence is already taking place by the settlers and the Israeli army. And the people are terrified. There are areas that are being cleaned out because they're afraid, they're not protected. And because each town, city, and village is totally besieged and isolated, they have no protection. That's what scares me, is that there is violence, but it's happening in the dark, silently and quietly.
Is there, in your view, a way back from this?
There's no way back. You have to go forward. What we need is to see an end to the occupation, and end to the brutality. And I would like to see all parties commit to international law and international humanitarian law.